What twisted secret inside Diddy's notorious after-hours club could make the most poised woman in music bolt for the door? And why is DaBaby so determined to tell the tale? Stick around, because the story you're about to hear might just flip your view of hip-hop royalty forever.
Diddy had put everybody else out the crib, like the influx of people he had put him out. But he had took a liking to me in particular around the time, man. It was really, you know what I mean, like putting his arm around me.
Right.
Welcome back to the channel that digs where the mainstream tiptoes. Remember, everything you're about to hear is alleged until it's proven in a court of law. We're breaking down rumors, receipts, and reactions, not handing out verdicts. Take every claim with a grain of salt, weigh the evidence for yourself, and hit those comments so this conversation stays honest and alive. Sean Diddy Combs has long blurred the line between extravagant nightlife and headline-grabbing spectacle. From Miami mansions to Cannes yachts and 24-hour Manhattan blowouts that stopped traffic, his parties weren't just celebrations, they were pressure cookers where careers were born or buried. But by 2025, the champagne haze had cleared, and federal prosecutors started describing a much darker scene: intimidation, hush money, and coercion lurking behind the velvet ropes. Reporters revived an old term, freak off, to describe gatherings where the rich and powerful allegedly traded favors out of public view. Whether that nickname is legend or literal depends on whom you ask, but the lore has circled hip-hop message boards for more than a decade. Witness lists now read like a Grammy seating chart. If you or anyone in R&B or rap between 2005 and 2020, chances are you received one of those embossed, scented invites that were impossible to decline without raising eyebrows. NDAs thicker than phone books greeted you at the door. Cameras went into locked pouches. Phones disappeared into custom lockers. No evidence in, no evidence out, at least in theory. Enter DaBaby. The Charlotte rapper rocketed up the charts with songs like Soog, but he's equally famous for confrontations, bowling alley brawls, backstage meltdowns, festival cancellations. In early June 2025, he sits down for a podcast nobody expected to trend and drops a bombshell. He says Beyoncé once literally ran, out of a Diddy after party when she realized what was really on the menu. Why listen? Because DaBaby is famously unfiltered. He rarely walks back a statement, even under threat of litigation. Why doubt him? Because controversy keeps his name circulating when Billboard doesn't. That tension, truth teller or clout chaser turns every syllable into YouTube gold. Here's how DaBaby tells it. A blacked-out SUV rolls up to a gated Bel Air estate. Security waves Beyoncé and Jay-Z through, reminding them it's a grown folks gathering. Nothing they haven't seen before, but according to DaBaby, one crucial detail is missing from the pre-party briefing. Minutes after they cross the threshold, Beyoncé sees something that crosses her personal red line. DaBaby won't specify what that something is, but he claims she pivots and bolts for the door without a second thought. Jay-Z hesitates, maybe gathering intel, maybe unfazed. Eventually he follows, but only after making sure no cameras track the exit. To DaBaby, that moment proves two things. First, that the party swung even wilder than industry veterans expected, and second, that Beyoncé's polished image masks a deeper familiarity with these grown folks gatherings, just not with whatever new element Diddy rolled out that night. Rumor needs oxygen, but facts still matter. Over the last 6 months, civil suits have dropped everyone from Drake to LeBron James as possible witnesses, only to see those names walked back under cross-examination. Federal subpoenas have definitely flown, yet the public versions are so redacted that guest lists look like checkerboards. We do know cell phone bans, non-disclosure contracts, and mandatory coat checks for devices were standard procedure, fueling speculation that what happened inside simply couldn't survive daylight. None of that confirms Beyoncé stepped into a den of horrors, but it does establish a culture of secrecy deep enough to let DaBaby's anecdote spread like wildfire. When the only people free to speak are those reckless or angry enough to risk a lawsuit, whispers turn into headlines overnight. Beyoncé isn't just a singer, she's a billion-dollar enterprise encompassing fashion, film, streaming, and philanthropy. Her image is curated down to Pantone precision. Jay-Z has rebranded from street hustler to art-collecting mogul who lunches with Warren Buffett. One rogue narrative, did Beyoncé flee a sex dungeon party, threatens that entire ecosystem. A single false note can spook sponsors, stall a tour, or rattle shareholders at Live Nation. For Jay-Z, the stakes are equally skyscraper high. Stadium deals, tech investments, and art auctions hinge on his aura of savvy control. If prosecutors ever drag him into a deposition about Diddy's nightlife, mere optics could shave millions off brand valuations. Silence becomes strategy, but silence also leaves a vacuum, and channels like ours exist to fill it. So, why speak now, DaBaby? Industry insiders float 3 theories. First, revenge. After major festivals dropped him for past controversies, trashing bigger names yanks the spotlight back. Second, damage control. If he's already on a witness list, going public reframes him as whistleblower, not accessory. Third, raw moral shock. Maybe he truly believes fans deserve the truth. The reality is likely an uneasy blend. An artist craving relevance, feeling iced out by industry elites, and recognizing that controversy sells better than confessionals. Legally, we are at a knife's edge. Diddy's lawyers insist every act at his gatherings involved consenting adults. Prosecutors counter that money, power, and intimidation blur any notion of consent. If investigators prove high-profile guests witnessed crimes, expect a domino line of subpoenas. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Drake, anyone DaBaby drags into the light. Depositions could leak, transcripts could flood the 24-hour news cycle, and suddenly the Carters would become reluctant supporting players in Diddy's courtroom drama. Meanwhile, social media sleuths are already stitching together Grammy cutaway shots and Roc Nation brunch selfies, asking whether Beyonce side-eyed Diddy in 2018 or whether Jay-Z's hug looked too stiff. The internet loves patterns, even illusory ones, and that course pressures sponsors faster than any judge can bang a gavel. Step back and the saga widens. This isn't just about 3 superstars, it's about an ecosystem where wealth buys insulation. When a room is phone-free, soundproofed, and locked behind bulletproof NDAs, it becomes a lab experiment on power. Who sets the rules? Who can leave safely? Who controls the narrative afterward? As Me Too cracked Hollywood's glass walls. Now music's marble mansion is next. From Dr. Luke to R. Kelly, private studios have doubled as crime scenes. If DaBaby's story has even a grain of truth, how many careers hinge on enforced silence, and will Gen Z fans keep streaming if that silence breaks? So let's open the floor. If Beyonce truly sprinted out, does that clear her name or hint at deeper knowledge? Is DaBaby hero, opportunist, or something in between? And should elite parties face outside oversight, or would that be policing consenting adults? Drop your best take below. The boldest, funniest, or most well-researched comments get featured in our follow-up. Before you bounce, smash that like so the algorithm knows we did our job, hit subscribe, and ring the bell, because the Diddy trial is moving faster than a TMZ tour bus, and we're riding shotgun. Check the description for articles, lawsuits, and the uncut DaBaby interview. Read them, screenshot them, and start your own rabbit hole. Around here, we stay curious, stay skeptical, and most of all,